As we get close to walk through this, RV/re/rate change, door, I want you to remember that there will always be cockroaches in the crawl space. There will always be cockroaches in the government of Iraq. There will always be troublemakers. You will always see eruptions. You will always see the Superman Sudani with a big S on his chest that will put those volcanoes out. Iraq within the map of change. Specialist upcoming international decisions will be taken before the arrival of Trump. They want to make sure everything is finished before Trump takes office. There is a massive push as they want to be allies and very strong. US, Kuwait demand Iraq to respect international agreements. Iraq on the map of change. Expert, expected international decisions will be taken before Trump's arrival. Quote, the unannounced visit of the U.S. Secretary of State is to complete the upcoming changes in Iraq. There is international and UN movement towards Iraq, and for this reason the new phase will witness major changes on the internal level, as Iraq is part of the change in the map of the new Middle East. Iran is trying to get their hands on Iraq's $100 million US in the Federal Reserve Bank in New York City. This is why many Iraqis say this is Sudani as PM's last go-round. This has been going on for several months. Do not get comfortable with the progress Iraq is making. There may be a few steps backward and then a lot of steps forward. The tear in the country is showing. Parliament went on winter break without resolving some very serious issues. US Secretary of State is here on surprise visit. He's proclaiming how secure and stable we are in the region. Frank, don't even waste your time with him. Treat him like you do Parliament. Trump sent the people he wanted already, and the reason why is because of the success of your monetary reform. The auctions were for the purpose to maintain the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar. For no other reason, period, end of story. So there will be no more foreign currency. No more USD. Then what else are they going to use? The lower notes. Blinken, I was amazed when I arrived in Baghdad by the construction in Iraq and the vitality of the capital. Quote, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken expressed his astonishment today, Saturday, after his recent visit to Baghdad, at the construction in Iraq and the vitality in the capital, while indicating that the Iraqi people deserve this development. TV talks about 140 ambassadors from around the world, and the IMF and the World Bank are arriving in Basra. They're saying for a historic event. That's where the ports are with the development project. They're saying to us this will link Iraq with international world. All these people are coming for a 3-day event. We did hear that the Iraqi dinar is trading and is in a trading range 4.00 to 4.20 in Iraq as an in-country rate now. Now our rates at the redemption center are totally different and much higher, our contract rate on the dinar in the redemption center only. I believe Iraq has revalued in country and budget, etc. past. We're just waiting for our turn, it's coming. Marks, I believe it has as well. Maybe that is why some of my best Iraqi contacts are not saying anything, but they suddenly have dollars, dinars. Sudani gave a big speech and he talked about how very serious his government is about increasing the citizens' purchasing power. He said Iraq has reached a historical time for financial increase. He talked about how stable we are. Frank, now that he has told you again for the 9th time, allow me to say this to you, start your countdown. Why will Iraq become one of Trump's priorities in the coming period? Urgent. Quote, Trump is planning major changes in the Middle East region, and therefore the region is entering a new phase, and Iraq will be at the forefront of these changes in terms of the security and economic reality. We sure hope it's this weekend. Things have sure gotten interesting. I got some reports from contacts in Iraq that they now have a lot more money than they used to have, but they won't say how or why, just that they have a lot more money than they had. They had told me they had expected to exchange sometime around Victory Day on December 10th. But they will not tell me where their sudden wealth has come from. I think things have started at the upper levels in Iraq. I am pretty excited. Mazar Mohammed Saleh, the economic advisor to the Prime Minister, commented Saturday, December 14, 2024, on the possibility of the government's inability to pay employees' salaries after the first quarter of next year. Saleh said in a press interview, the Iraqi financial policy has a flexible pattern of its standards called fiscal space, which means maintaining the government's ability to increase spending or even reduce taxes or modify the areas of the undefined tax bases to reach its taxpayers to support the economy without causing serious financial problems such as inflation or a large deficit. He added that this space is currently available in our country as long as the financial situation is still good, and it allows the government to adopt financial policies to stimulate economic growth, such as increasing spending on infrastructure or improving social services, with some internal borrowing when needed, and at a rate that still revolves around 3% of the GDP without affecting the concept of financial consolidation, which means reducing the annual deficit and reducing the balance of outstanding debts and making them within limits that do not deviate from the internationally accepted standard rate for annual financial and monetary stability, which is 60% of the country's GDP. He pointed out that the total value of internal debts and the little remaining external debts, their balance has now not exceeded 30% of the country's gross domestic product, i.e. annual national income, which indicates that there is a high level of stability in the general price level and in cash flows as resources for the general budget, some of which can even be secured when needed from internal borrowing, without stumbling blocks or any pessimistic outlook. He explained that what is being achieved above does not indicate that there is a deterioration in oil prices as long as the OPEC Plus group's policy has become its function to absorb the surplus quantities in the oil market by reducing members' quotas to raise prices in leaps. And it is a policy that must be reflected in a stable manner in the position of the federal general budget for the year 2025 in its average annual revenues and expenditures, so with caution and caution. But financial concerns are coming. Some political figures had expected in press statements that employees' salaries would stop in the fourth month of 2025. While Syria is witnessing major transformations that the whole world is waiting for, these transformations have opened the door to hopes for economic transformations as well, after the Syrian economy deteriorated greatly during the previous years under the rule of Bashar al-Assad due to sanctions. The Syrian pound has undergone major transformations. At the beginning of 2021, it was $. It is equivalent to 3,000 Syrian pounds, and in 2022 the price increased $. To 4,000 liras. Then it reached 8,000 liras in 2023 and even 13,000 liras in mid-2023, and with the continuation of economic sanctions and the collapse of many sectors, it rose $. At the beginning of 2024, it reached 15,000 liras. Then with the start of the battles by the armed factions at the end of November and the successive fall of Syrian cities by their hands, the collapse reached 19,000 liras per $. Then after the fall of the regime, it reached 22,000 liras per $.